All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to make a video here. In fact, I need to make a couple videos before TBC launches. A guy in the comment section basically asked, like I did that video when I was talking about the 5 Paladin specs, the 5 viable Paladin specs for TBC PvP. And the guy basically asked me to talk about like optimized gearing for each of the specs, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I guess I could make that video, but it's going to be like 4 hours of my time. The problem is I want to make 2 videos. One of these is me showing some Argent Defender dueling versus Mage and Rogue, like a spellcaster and a melee class, so that you can see some of these concepts in action, right? But at the same time, it's going to be like an hour-long video for me just talking about the 5 different specs and their optimized gearing. So I'm going to split this video basically up into 2 parts. This first video is me talking specifically about the optimized gearing for the various 5 specs, like depending upon what the hell you're doing with them, proper play, where your brain should be at, you know, blah, 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 blah. Why you're valuing this and not valuing that. I'm still recovering from being sick. Specifically, I've got a bit of COVID that is lingering, so I'm going to be a little bit of a coughing boy. It's just like a dry throat cough at this point. You know how it is. But we're going to be doing that periodically. So if that's not your jam, then get the hell out of here. Okay, so the first thing to talk about is the Holy Shock Paladins. There are 2 of these. One Holy Shock Paladin doesn't spend its points into the Retribution tree. Instead, it goes down to the Protection tree. Specifically, it's going after Improved Concentration Aura 3 out of 3 and then Stoicism. That's more of your Arena build. The Arena build is expecting to need to heal under circumstances where multiple attackers or at least one melee class is always giving them the business. And that particular Paladin really values having improved concentration aura 3 out of 3, especially with all the silence and interrupt effects that are flying around all over the place. That's the Arena version of a Holy Shock Paladin. If I recall correctly, the Holy Shock Paladin, it comes down here and it tries to pick up a 3 out of 3 concentration aura, Stoicism. It might put points in Improved Hammer of Justice. And then it's got a few extra points that it manages to put into Holy Guidance. But other than that, the talent builds are virtually identical. This build right here is the Shock Eye version of this. This is more of your 1v1 Paladins, 1v1 in dueling, open world Paladin build, you know, blah, 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 blah. This build is favoring 3 out of 3 Pursuit of Justice. There aren't really any... What the heck is this? I want this to go away. Report ad, remove all ads. You're going to put me to like something, aren't you? Yeah, fuck off. Let me try refreshing this because it's pissing me off. Yeah, it went away, didn't it? Lol. Pursuit of Justice is basically king for any 1v1 fight. The arena is a bit of a tight space. Pursuit of Justice is still fucking amazing, especially if you watched my video about how to range tank as a Paladin in the arena. Pursuit of Justice is still absolutely amazing for your Paladin. But in open world fighting and in 1v1 fights where you have much more room to play with, Pursuit of Justice is just, it's borderline impossible to fight without Pursuit of Justice. Pursuit of Justice basically lets you judge justice on your enemy, reducing their movement speed to 8 yards a second, while you're basically running around at like 9.2 yards a second. To put this in perspective, you can try this right now in BGs and see the truth of it. You can put Judgment of Justice on a Mage, and if you have Pursuit of Justice, they can literally not outrun you with blink. Like, they'll blink away from you, and you'll catch back up to them and start beating on them a little bit in melee before they're able to blink away from you again. If you start adding any kind of grenades or any kind of Hodge stun to this mix, it's incredibly difficult for the Mage to get away from you. And you can actually run them down in open world PvP relatively easily and beat the crap out of them. I've been murdering Mages and Silithus off of this tactic. Like, I don't have engineering, so in a lot of cases they're able to get away from me. But I'm just chasing them down. I can see visually that if I had grenades, if I had any kind of engineering to back this up, they'd be giga dead. And that's basically what you do. If you're a dueling Paladin, you have engineering. In open world PvP fights, you prefer to have engineering. Boosting is really easy right now, so if you're really into duels for whatever reason, if you're really into like 1v1 world PvP, you're going to want like a second Paladin who has engineering on him and blah, 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 blah. But anyways, in theory, you have engineering and Pursuit of Justice, engineering, Holy Shock. These things are absolutely terrifying when put together. Because Paladin, the Holy Shock Paladin, this one specifically, can effectively play like a druid. It has a druid-like playstyle in the sense that it slows the enemy to 8 yards per second. It itself, the Paladin, cannot be really slowed very well at all, and it's running around with 15% movement speed over the enemy. And it's basically just Holy Shocking and judging them to death with these 8-second Holy Shocks. The judgments basically don't cost any mana. The only thing that's really costing any mana is the seal and the Holy Shock itself. This thing's insanely mana efficient. 3 out of 3 improved Sanctified Judgment is like, if I recall correctly, it's like 240 MP5. That's why we even bothered to go get this damn thing, is it makes this Paladin... The problem with Holy Shock Paladin PvP is it's insanely mana inefficient. Everything else about it is terrifying. The moment you get 3 out of 3 Sanctified Judgments, your mana efficiency issues go away, and the thing just becomes a fucking terror. Trying to run away from this thing in World PvP is a cock and a half, because the enemy needs to, like, it's either going to be 6 or 10 seconds. We really don't know yet at level 70, like, how long it's going to take to drop combat in PvP. Right now it's 6 seconds at level 60, but don't be surprised if at level 70 it takes you 10 seconds to drop combat. Really hard to say. But we have to assume 6 seconds, right? So the enemy has to CC you, run away for 6 seconds at 8 yards a second movement speed, and then mount up, which takes like 3 seconds in order for them to fly away. They're also going to be flying away from you at 8 yards a second. So it's going to take them a while to get out of range of like your Hammer of Wrath, your Holy Shock, and your Judgment damage. Like, you're going to get that on them even if they're able to mount up and fly away. If you have any kind of nades to back this up with, or any kind of engineering like move faster or like swiftness potion, like, you know, all that kind of crap, Skull of Impending Doom, you know, blah, 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 blah. If you have any kind of extra shenanigans to help keep them in combat at like a 30-yard range, enemies can't run from you anymore. Even something as simple as activate Trinket and like do damage to them at range. Preferably something that's not going to whiff, like a Goblin Mortar even would probably be good. The stun will probably whiff, but you wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if you get the damage on them. My point is, this build keeps people in combat like a motherfucker. Holy Shock has a 20-yard range, really good for keeping people in combat. Your Judgment has a 10-yard range, really good for keeping people in combat. You start factoring in nades and a bunch of other crap to keep people in combat. This thing is really hard to run from, and it can kite things and basically just judge and shock them to death. Really, really terrifying. The optimum gearing of this build is interesting, as... How do I put this? Let me pause the video really fast here. I gotta, like, cough. All right, we're back. All right, so this build can... How do I put this? Fuck, what do I want to say here? I want to look at the other stats, this Paladin. So this is the Argent Defender Paladin. This Argent Defender Paladin is currently wearing some plus healing, like some endurance fighting kit. So it's only at like 12,300 effective HP. It has Argent Defender 2, so that's going to add like an additional like 3,000-ish effective HP. Somewhere around there. What changes with an with a Holy Shock Paladin's gearing is really its gems. Like, what the fuck are we gemming and why? Like, inside and outside the arena? Inside the arena, you honest to God want to gem almost full stamina or resilience. In world, but that's a completely different Holy Shock Paladin build. You're basically wearing as much plus healing gear as you possibly can, and you're trying to make yourself survive enemy bursts as much as possible. The art, specifically when you're trying to survive against enemy bursts, you're trying to survive against a Frost Mage Burst Wombo combo and a Fire Mage Burst Wombo combo. Every other, quote, bursting class in the game doesn't have enough burst to really concern you all that much. Elemental Shamans, they do have some bursts. Other Holy Shock Paladins do have a burst. But they don't have the CC lockdown to back it up. So, for example, the reason why Mage bursts are really scary is because they can turn you into a sheep, they can spell steal all your crap off of you, and then they can start doing chip damage on you, like so they're chipping away your HP bar, and eventually they're going to force you to have to start casting a hard cast heal. And once you start casting a hard cast heal, their wombo combo is to counterspell you and basically to blow you the fuck up. You do not have, even if we have 3 out of 3 improved concentration aura, a Holy Shock Paladin cannot get enough HP to be able to survive through the silence and effectively start healing itself. When the burst is coming for them, they basically only have bubble to work with. That's kind of their only counterplay. Outside of the arena, however, what I'm trying to explain here with your gemming is this. The Argent Defender Paladin can gem stamina, can basically gem nothing but stamina. Literally nothing but stamina in every single fucking gem slot, with the exception of this one that I changed out recently. They can just go stamina, 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 and they will have enough they will have a thick enough HP bar to survive the incoming enemy burst, on top of the fact that they do have improved concentration aura, right? So one of these paladins can actually take the burst to the face and actually survive that. Now, I'm going to show a duel specifically here. Yeah, this is versus a mage. Holy Shock Paladin cannot do this. So you're better off gemming either entirely Resilience or you're better off gemming entirely MP5. Either one of those are really good options. You might not actually need to gem entirely MP5 with the improved Sanctity Aura, so you might be better off gemming fully Resilience. You could also gem full plus healing, and it's not the worst thing in the world. The vast majority of your gear will just be straight up plus healing and resilience gear. You really can't go wrong just gemming resilience. What the resilience will do for you is that it will make it much harder for the enemies to crit you, because you really only die in crits. So it'll make it much harder for the enemies to crit you, and therefore you can kind of survive off not being critted. But really how this thing deals with enemy spellcasters is that it takes the time and the space to run the fuck away from the enemy spellcasters. Like, even if it costs you, like, hey, I'm going to put Justice on my enemy and I'm going to have to bubble to survive their incoming burst because I got dropped on from out of the sky by, like, a Fire Mage or a Frost Mage and they're about to go ham on me. You judge Justice on them. I guess they can ice block it off. But even if you have to, like, use a Swiftness Potion or, like, a Netomatic or some shit, Netomatics have a chance to fail. So let's talk about, like... I'm talking about trinkets you can use to get away, nifty stopwatch or some shit like that. Basically, if you have to burn every survivability cooldown you can think of to run away from that mage, you're going to be able to run away and survive pretty much no problem, because that's how powerful Bubble is. How you deal with spellcasters in the open world is you basically just get into resist gear to counter them, and then you go kill them. And your play for dealing with people dropping out of the sky on you is basically just to run away and then mount up and be like, okay, that was cute. Let me get into proper fighting PvP gear. You treat it like a duel, where you run away and then get into proper dueling gear, and then you go back and try to aggress on them again. The other... basically, Paladin is one of the best open world duelists in the entire game. Like, open world 1v1ers in the entire game. Because there's really only 2 scenarios that you're going to get into a 1v1 in TBC. The first scenario is you're currently trying to kill a mob. And actually, there's 3 scenarios. Number 1, someone is trying to kill a mob, and you want to kill them and steal their mob from them, like for Mode of Shadows and like Nagrand or something like that, right? Holy Shock Paladin's incredibly good at that because you have a really scary burst as a Holy Shock Paladin, so you can very easily, like, drive away the enemy player, like CC them and then go do a Kamehameha on them, and either kill them or drive them away and then take the mob yourself. The other scenario is you're currently trying to kill the mob and someone drops out of the sky on you and is trying to do to you what I just described, like, kill you or drive you away and then take the mob for themselves. Very easy for you as a paladin to basically just spend your bubble to guarantee finishing off the mob and then looting it, and then spending the rest of your toolkit to basically just run away from them, mount up, and fly away. That's the first 1v1 scenario you're going to find yourself in. The second 1v1 scenario you're going to find yourself in is you're trying to farm an area for moats or for whatever reason, and someone is trying to kick you out of your farming spot in that area. And under those circumstances, aka when you need to come back and potentially fight this guy again for your right to farm the area, that's when you basically go, okay, whatever, I'm going to run away, I'm going to get into proper resist gear, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to contest you. So that's the only real way you can deal with spellcasters as a Holy Shock Paladin, is to have extremely heavy plus healing gear and to get into resistances. So your gemming options are either MP5 for for longer fights. So if you need to win a dueling, like an MP5 war against a druid, for example, you can't really wear resist gear against a druid. You're better off wearing like MP5 against a druid, because it's going to be a long fight. But if you're fighting like a frost mage or a fire mage, then getting into proper resist gear against them is better. Both to survive the incoming burst and then to win a like mana war after you survive the incoming burst, right? Same thing with a warlock. You need the shadow resist gear in order to even have a chance against a warlock, and you'll just use that shadow resist gear to grind a warlock into pulp, okay? So I'm trying to point out that this isn't like an Argent Defender Paladin who's going to be able to be like, fuck you, I'm standing my ground, I'm going to survive all the shit that you're throwing at me, and I'm going to fucking kill you. An Argent Defender, you have to gem differently than Argent Defender. Gemming pure stamina on this thing is not an option. So your gear is going to be a mix of like a lot of plus healing gear. You're going to be using, virtually without exception, 4-piece ornament gear, because the 4-piece ornament set, I can show it here, I think. Go over to here. The 4-piece ornament has... Why the fuck are you missing an ornament piece? Oh, right. You're wearing 4-piece lamellar. That's right. I remember now. Let me take a drink. The 4-piece ornament set states increase healing from your Holy Shock by 30%. When in duels, when in 1v1s that you know are going to go a very long, when in a 1v1 fight, you're almost always using Holy Shock to heal yourself, and the healing efficiency of Holy Shock in TBC is actually complete and utter dog shit ass without this 4-set bonus. But once you get this 4-set bonus, the healing efficiency and the mana efficiency of Holy Shock being used to heal yourself almost exclusively is worth its weight in gold. The only time you would not use Holy Shock to heal yourself in a 1v1 is if you're using it to keep the enemy in combat at range. The reason for this is because if we go back to the talent tree, when your Holy Shock crit heals you, it basically refunds 60% of its mana. Whereas if it crits offensively, it doesn't refund any mana whatsoever. So it's just kind of like, it's just better. It's better used as a healing tool from a pure mana efficiency perspective, from a pure DPS efficiency perspective. Like you didn't have to stop your movement if you're doing a kiting game in order to heal yourself. You didn't have to stop your melee attacks from a DPS perspective in order to heal yourself. So primarily using Holy Shock almost exclusively to heal yourself, just because of how insanely efficient it becomes with the 4-set bonus to heal yourself. So you're going to be wearing 4-piece ornament, whether you like it or not. The rest of your gear is going to be pretty much the same as Argent Defender Paladin. You want like heavy stamina MP5 gear, so maybe you'll use a different pendant here. But basically you just want stamina, intellect, plus healing and MP5, like all the way down. So this ring here is perfect, right? Stamina, intellect, spell power, MP5. This one is also perfect. Stamina, intellect with a bit of spirit. MP5, I guess we would want MP5, but spirit is also good. You get the idea. You just want stamina, intellect, plus healing, MP5, like all the way down. And then, of course, versus like a druid, you'd want to gem MP5 or spirit, one of the two. Versus virtually any other class, you want to be gemmed resilience. Being gemmed resilience is not the worst thing in the world. It's just that against certain classes, the resilience is going to be completely wasted because they don't have any critical strike chance anyways. So like the druids aren't like a resto druid. Resto druids are one of the best world PvPers in the entire game. They basically gem spirit out their ass, and they gem like plus healing gear, and they basically use innervate and the raw efficiency of the plus healing gear in TBC to basically just endurance fight to death just about any class in the entire fucking game. The only class in the game that is a better endurance fighter than Resto Druid, who knows what the fuck they're doing, is this Retribution Paladin here that knows what the hell they're doing. You could argue that a Restoration Shaman that knows what the hell they're doing is an even better endurance fighter than this Paladin right here. The problem is that this Paladin right here has a better like Kamehameha out of nowhere. This thing actually has burst capability. So in other words, if a Resto Shaman who knows what they're doing and a Holy Paladin who knows what they're doing are going at it in open world PvP, neither of them can probably kill each other. But if a Druid and a Resto Shaman are going at it, neither of them can kill each other. This Paladin will kill a Resto Druid, like in world PvP, relatively easily. It'll be a 3-minute fight, but this Paladin will win out in the Mana War and the DPS / Mana War eventually. I did the math recently. These Paladins are capable. Your Mana War basically looks like you're using Holy Shock to heal yourself, and you're beating on the enemy with a spell power weapon while sticking them with Judgment of Wisdom. So they have Judgment, and you're using Seal of Vengeance. So you're beating on them with Seal of Vengeance while you're either judging on cooldown. So yeah, I guess you'd want to use the MP5 gear if you're judging on cooldown. The Spirit gear, you wouldn't be judging on cooldown in order to keep your spirit up. But you're basically healing yourself with Holy Shock on cooldown, and you're judging 5 out of 5 Seal of Vengeance on the enemy on cooldown. You're going to be leaning on the enemy with a rather terrifying amount of DPS. Like, I can calculate the holy DPS like right now. Actually, I got the math over here. What are we talking about? But I did the math recently. Your mana regeneration is going to be like 1,000 mana regenerated, like over 1,000. I think it's closer to like 1,400 mana regeneration every 30 seconds. So your effective MP5 is, oh yeah, multiply that by 5. Okay. You're running around with like 250 or more MP5 per second. It's fucking terrifying. With your gear, it's going to be closer to like 350 MP5. Like, the amount of mana regeneration you're getting from thunking on the enemy over time is considerably terrifying. But it's the DPS in conjunction with the MP5. So your Seal of Vengeance is going to be doing like 250 every like, so we got to multiply that by 10 in a 30-second time period. So you're going to be doing that much DPS from your Seal of Vengeance. The proc from your Seal of Vengeance is going to basically be doubling this once you factor in miss chances. So we got to multiply that by 2. So you're doing 5,000 holy damage just from Seal of Vengeance and auto attacks alone over the course of a 30-second time period. Your judgments are going to be kicking around at about 1,200 damage on judgments, maybe less, maybe 1,100 in phase 1, but eventually it'll get up to 1,200 judgment damage. You're going to be judging on cooldown like every 8 seconds. Okay, wait a minute. 30 divided by 8 equals times 1,200 equals divided by 30, I do believe. So that's your DPS. Okay. So let's pull up another calculator here. We had 5,000, I think it was. It was 250 times 10 equals times 2 equals divided by 30 equals. So that's your, so we got to add another like 166 DPS. So even without factoring in auto attack damage, which isn't nothing, and I can actually look at it right here. So our damage is melee damage. Okay, we've got to move that aside. 75-ish. Okay, let's assume a 30% armored target, even though it's me being incredibly generous. 35 times 0.7 equals multiplied by 30 equals, yeah, we basically add, divided by 30, because I just want DPS, 52. 52, okay. So basically you're leaning on your enemies with something like 370 DPS, while at the same time, that's not even using Holy Shock offensively. So just thunking away at the enemy, you've got like 370 DPS on top of them, while at the same time your MP5 is close to like 350 MP5. Like, these two numbers in conjunction is like WTF. Okay, that is why you can actually grind a Resto Druid into pulp, is because the combination of the amount of DPS you're leaning on them with in conjunction with the amount of MP5, like your just raw mana efficiency, is utterly fucking terrifying. The only reason Resto Shaman can beat this is due to Mana Shield. Mana Shield, we can look it up. Mana Shield. Well, no, I think it's Water Shield, my bad. Water Shield. Okay, Water Shield rank 2, yeah, level 70. So Water Shield doesn't cost any mana. They can put it up on them anytime. And basically it means when they take damage, they restore like 240 mana to the caster. So the sheer act of touching the shaman causes them to gain like gigatons of MP5. That's the only fucking reason you can actually defeat a Resto Shaman. You can actually grind any other thing in the entire game into pulp. With a combination of your DPS output in conjunction with your mana efficiency. Scary, scary stuff. But the point is that you have to wear resistance gear in order to survive the enemy burst. Okay? So if you're facing an enemy bursting class, you have to wear resistance gear. You can run away from anything and then get into the resistance gear that you need to be able to survive their burst. Once you're able to survive their burst, your raw, terrifying healing and mana efficiency is going to kick in, and you're not going to give a shit about anything. You're just going to grind them into pulp. Against other endurance fighting classes, you can beat them all if you know what the hell you're doing. You can beat them if you're in like pure plus healing gemmed gear. You can beat them if you're in pure resilience gemmed gear. Ideally, you would be in MP5 gear. That's just going to make the fight much faster. So rather than beating that Resto Druid in a 5-minute fight, if you were wearing MP5 gear, you would beat them in a 3-minute fight in open world PvP. Any other class that is doing physical damage as their primary damage source is just going to get absolutely fucking murdered because you're wearing plate mail and you're a fucking Holy Shock Paladin. Good luck. Good luck to you, sir. You're just gonna die. Yep, nope, that's just how it is. Even our Argent Defender Paladin struggles against these pieces of shit due to their terrifying mana efficiency. Alright, what else is there to talk about? Oh, let's actually look at what this crap looks like in a duel here really fast. Let me turn off the volume. So, this is the Warmane Henhouse PvP server. This video is like 4 years old, so I'm still like a clicker in this video. The video quality is hot dog shit ass because we're watching a recording of a recording, and also the resolution on the Warmane server is absolutely garbage. So the resolution here is going to be terrible. This Argent Defender Paladin is like phase 4, phase 3, somewhere around there. These buffs up here are just MP5 buffs, for the record. I do believe this Paladin right now, he's Argent Defender. He does not have Eye for an Eye. That's one of the big changes I made. He only has like 12,000 hit points, and this is one of the major issues. This guy is gemmed for MP5. Even at the end of this duel, and at the end of this video of duels, I eventually come to the conclusion that I need to be thicker versus these fucking mages, and or I need eye for an eye. I eventually come to the conclusion that I probably want both on my Argent Defender Paladin, and we're going to see why here in no uncertain terms. So I'm this Paladin as geared at 1200 HP and an MP5 gear has like a 70% win rate against a mage that knows what the hell they're doing. Which my friend here does. But the eye for an eye Argent Defender Paladin with plus like 1500 additional hit points because he gemmed MP5 stamina rather than MP5 is going to have like a 90% win rate, if not higher, versus these mages. And we're going to see why here in a second. Okay, so I'm just charging up my trinket here really fast to get it up to level 20 before we start this duel. I'm wearing the, you can see the trinket down here. It's this thing, or whatever the heck it is. Alright, so let's watch my friend try to duel me here. Turns him into a sheep. He pops his water elemental. I did a whole video on how to beat mages in duels as a paladin. Holy Shock Paladin cannot do this without resistance gear. Any other paladin cannot do this without resistance gear. The Argent Defender Paladin does not need resistance gear in order to beat frost mages. They do require some resistance gear in order to beat fire mages. Not a lot of fire resist gear, but they need some. We're talking like 200 fire resist, and suddenly the fire mage can't really win anymore. Whereas the Holy Shock Paladin needs to go a bit thicker on the fire resist. They need like 300, about 300 fire resist, I would say, in order to win. Let me cough really fast here. Alright, so he's popping his Water Ellie. Because the actual burst out of a mage, a frost mage specifically, is when you are rooted by a frost mage, they gain something like 50% critical strike chance on you. And they can hard cast a frost bolt and back it up with an ice lance, and those two will batch together with the plus 50% crit rate. We're going to see that here in a little bit, and it will chunk you like a motherfucker. Whenever you're watching like mages in arena, that's basically their burst combo is, oh, did I root this motherfucker? Okay, now it's time for the wombo combo. That fucking frost elemental has a root of he casts frost bolts pretty quickly and they can all have a chance to root you, and it also has like a frost nova its own goddamn self that I think the mage can activate like a pet ability whenever they want to. These water elementals also have no HP whatsoever, so the correct play for you as a paladin is to trade everything to kill these water elementals. So if you trade bubble for one of these water elementals, they're going to have two of them due to cold snap. Trading bubble for one water elemental death is completely fine. Trading my HP trinkets for the other water elemental's death is also going to be the correct play. I have double HP on demand trinkets to use when I'm being silenced. Specifically when I'm in Argent Defender mode to survive the second water elemental. So we're using our bubble to kill the first water elemental. Success. He's going to immediately cold snap and go for a second one if he knows what's good for him. Maybe I think he's trying to get a little bit of chip damage. Yes, he's playing correctly. So he's getting a little bit of chip damage on me. He wants to make sure I don't have freedom up when he goes for the second water elemental, and he wants to get that chip damage on me to try to get me to hardcast a heal for counterspell. So he's trying to steal this fucking thing. It's not working. He's wasting a bunch of mana. So eventually he's just like, whatever, I'll time it out. I'm going to get like a heal in here. Maybe he should have counterspelled me there. But again, here's the plan. Chip damage. Okay, he's going to want to do a little bit of... Okay, there we go. I see what's up. So he's going to counterspell me here for sure. Okay, oh, we got the pushback. Fuck. Ooh, yeah, you can see the massive chip damage up there that I just got hit with. Luckily, I got in this flash of light. But there's the counterspell. He didn't get a good counterspell. He whiffed the counterspell. Okay. Watch it not matter, because I don't have freedom quite yet. So, yeah, that. So, even though he whiffs the counterspell, frost, elemental, so you see this big ring of frost that went out? That's the on-demand ability from the water elemental to freeze you in place. and he's timing it really well with these. Yeah, you can see all the crits, right? So this is a fucking crit for 2,000 damage. This is a hard cast, a Frostbolt crit for like, I think this is the Ice Lance crit, honestly. Yeah, so this is his hard cast Frostbolt crit, I think. This is his Ice Lance critting me for almost 3,000. This is the Water Elementals crit, I do believe. So you can see the 3 crits just chunking the shit out of me. I'm about to use my HP trinkets while in Argent Defender mode. There's a weird thing I want to show you. I'm about to talk about Argent Defender and its proper gearing here in a second. That's why we're watching clips, okay? On the Henhouse private server, you did not gain the benefits of Argent Defender until you drop below 35% life. So it's just now that I'm gaining the benefits of the minus 30% damage from Argent Defender. That's kind of a big deal, and we'll showcase that. In TBC, as near as we can tell, is the coding. In TBC Anniversary, you're going to get the Argent Defender's minus 30% damage effect even before you drop below 30% life. And there's a better example of this in the future, but let's just keep watching here. So I'm going to be looking at my HP bar. He whiffed his counter spell, but it's not going to matter because really it's about freedom here. And my freedom is miles away from cooldown. We're going to watch me barely survive this shit because you can see where my mouse is going because I'm still a clicker right now. I'm going to my HP trinkets. Oh, yes. So we're going to activate the first HP trinket and barely survive. We're still trying to kill this fucking water elemental. I think I hodge stunned it, so now I can go for some heals. I've activated my second healing trinket. Let's watch this in full. Let's go back. So here's the hardcast wombo combo, perfectly executed. I stunned the water elemental. Well, yeah, so he tried another Frost Nova, but I'm just going to heal through this. Now I'm able to heal through this shit for 2 reasons. I have the PvE weapon that when you drop below, oh god, let's see if we can find this fucking thing. Gear. It's very visible. I can't remember what the hell the name of it is. It's going to be phase 3 or something like that. Everybody, yeah, is it the gavel? No, but it's got the same icon. Right? What is this thing? It's a PvE wep. I can't remember what phase. So we need to go down ever so slightly. I can actually look at the icon in-game. Okay, yeah, so it's got this... It's the same fucking icon, you piece of shit. It's famous. Like, we know what this is. Come here. Vengeful Gladiator. Crystal Spile of Calbor. Okay, there we go. Black Temple, phase 3. This weapon basically says if your target is below 50% health, your direct healing spells will cause the target to be healed for an additional, basically, 200 health. Okay, so this is part of why we're still alive here. Okay, so we got that. But the reason why I chose this clip is because I barely survived getting bursted on properly like a few seconds ago. And then it's going to happen again and again and again that I barely survived the incoming nonsense. So there's the whiff counter spell. There's his proper wombo combo. Argent Defender is now in effect. And thank God for that. But I have to use my HP trinkets to survive. I'm healing myself with flashes of light. But you can see I'm making sure I kill this piece of shit water elemental. I think he's going to get another really good... Yeah, okay, so there's the root. And there's another burst... Oh, fuck. Did I just resist that? Oh, boy. Okay, so yeah, look at my HP bar. Here comes the thing that should have killed me, but I think we fully resisted it. So I should be dead here. I don't know if that would have killed me. Oh, yeah, I'm still rooted in place. That should have killed me. Okay. Question marks means I'm still alive because I resisted it, and I know it. Okay, here it goes again. So I think I'm safe, but I'm not. I'm like, I should be healing. Ouch, 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 ouch. Like, fuck you, ouch. Did he give up? I think he hasn't given up yet. So, yeah, so this is another really good wombo combo. Okay, he gave up? Okay, cool. Barely surviving this shit. So, the moral of the story here is that what Argent Defender and the plus healing gear allows you to do is it actually allows you that if you're able to free cast healing, even with Flash of Lights, you can out-heal the incoming DPS of the Mage. Basically, the Mage needs this water elemental in order to kill you. Without that, he has to get, like, super lucky, which is what ends up happening in this clip. Like, he gets super lucky here. That Ice Lance, yeah. So it roots me in place, and it's a natural crit. Okay, this is without his water elemental. I do believe I'm above the 35% mark. Yeah, so you can see right now that this Flash of Light is a bit of a mistake because I'm now definitely outside of Argent Defender. I'm rooted in place. His wombo combo is incoming. Like, I'm not getting Argent Defender on any of this. So it's only now that Argent Defender actually kicks in. And this Ice Lance that hits me got fully resisted, should have killed me, you know, blah, 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 blah. So if we actually look at my comments after this duel, that was funny. One resist, I think. He immediately wants to go again. I think I straight up say I think I need more HP. Yep, I'm typing it out right now. Yep. So this was a series of duels against my Mage friend. So he actually knows how to fight against an Argent Defender Paladin. He knows his win conditions. That basically made me conclude that this 1200 HP and MP5 gear is not going to cut it. As an Argent Defender Paladin, I'm going to need to be a little bit more thicker than this in order to survive against these fuck-off mages. Okay, cool. So let's move on to Argent Defender Paladin specifically. Its gearings and whatnot. But just, I wanted to show you those duels to show you that with Argent Defender and a bit of resistance gear, my bad, with Argent Defender and plus healing gear, you could and gem stamina, you're going to be able to barely survive against these frost mages, but you will be able to survive against these frost mages. The moment you add eye for an eye into this mix, like if I had eye for an eye, this mage would be completely fucked. And it has to do with their wombo combo. Okay, let's go back and actually see the wombo combo that should have killed me here. Okay, so we killed a Frost Ellie. Success. So this is the wombo combo that should have killed me, like right here. This hard casting Frostbolt is going to crit me, and it's going to root me. Okay, this is the only way to kill an Argent Defender Paladin outside of having a water elemental. Okay, this is the ideal, like, you know, combo for a Frost Mage. In TBC, this isn't going to kill me because of like this. How do I want to fucking say this? Oh, God damn it. Okay, let's talk about eye for an eye. So this mage completes one Frostbolt cast and is immediately going into another. You can't see cast bars, but she's immediately starting another Frostbolt cast. So I want to talk about what eye for an eye does for you against the Mage Burst. So when this Frostbolt hits me, it's actually this next one. Okay. When this Frostbolt hits me and crits me, this mage at this distance is something like 0.3 seconds, 0.4 seconds into their next Frostbolt cast. Eye for an eye's reflect damage would give would push that back to a 2-second cast time. I don't know if she has icy veins going or not, blah, 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 blah. But basically, it's going to push back the next spell cast by however much cast time is in effect. Their Kamehameha combo. Let me take a drink here. I'm literally passing out because I'm trying to say too much at once. Okay. So their combo is basically them casting Frostbolt after Frostbolt after Frostbolt, hard casting that shit into you until one of them crits and ideally roots you in place. Like, this is the dream scenario for the Frost Mage Burst. My Frostbolt crit him, and it rooted his bitch ass in place while his freedom is on cooldown. Technically, my freedom could be used to get out of this. Like, I should finish this this flash of light and freedom to avoid the Kamehameha that is coming. But perfect example here, right? Without Eye for an Eye, okay, with Eye for an Eye, what's going to happen here is I have more time to finish this spell cast and to... Ooh, did he counterspell me? Oh, wow, why am I on GCD? Why is my GCD triggered? That's really weird. Why am I on GCD right now? What did I do? Did I try to cleanse it off? I have no idea. All right, whatever. Did I try to cleanse thinking I couldn't freedom? I don't know why I'm on a GCD right now. What is my action? My action is to go for another flash of light. Interesting. Okay. All right, here comes the dream. Okay, there's the dream. Okay. Eye for an Eye, even 1 point in it, is going to cause enough reflect damage to push her next spell cast back to 2 seconds. So rather than having 1.6 seconds of action time, I'll have 2 seconds of action time. If you don't think that's a big deal for countering this burst, you're a moron. Also, I've been crit so much during this fucking fight that she would be super low life right now and wouldn't even be able to pull this off. The Eye for an Eye alone would basically be killing her. Your Holy Shock Paladin has this. It has Eye for an Eye, 2 out of 2. But since it doesn't have Argent Defender, you would just explode even before you got to this point. Like, if I'm barely surviving this shit as an Argent Defender Paladin, you can imagine what the fuck is going to happen to a Holy Shock Paladin, right? What changed on my Paladin game design after this? Okay, just so we're on the same page here. All right. Let's go to the Argent Defender Paladin here. Is after looking at it, what happened was rather than gemming MP5, you end up gemming stamina, and this makes your HP bar like 1500 HP thicker. So rather than having 1200 HP to work with, I'm going to have, which is what's happening in these duels, I would have an additional like 1500 HP that my enemy has to chew through, and you can see that that's going to be more than enough HP to move the needle on these fights. The other thing that's moving these needles on the fights is this flash of light, while theoretically helpful, didn't do anything because it put me over Argent Defender. So this Frostbolt slash Ice Lance are both going to crit me, and they're not going to be reduced by 30% at all. In TBC Anniversary, both of these hits, like 80% of that damage that I just took would be reduced by 30%. So I wouldn't be at this non-existent HP bar. I would actually have like, a couple thousand of HP, a couple thousand HP left over to work with. You start adding in the extra time I would have gotten to cleanse myself or to freedom myself from the Eye for an Eye. You start factoring in Eye for an Eye into the gameplay, and we're looking even healthier. A combination of these two factors has basically caused me... Let's go to the talents. To devalue spell warding 2 out of 2. The talents from spell warding have moved out of spell warding and into improved Hammer of Justice, because you really need that improved Hammer of Justice to beat rogues in fights specifically. If I was an open world or duelist Paladin, I would have at least 1 point in Eye for an Eye for the various reasons that we talked about. I would probably have 2 points in Eye for an Eye. Having double Eye for an Eye with a battle plan of I'm just going to out-heal your spellcasting nonsense and eventually you and kill you is basically your battle plan. And 2 out of point. Eye for an Eye is not only burst protection against frost mages and fire mages, and elemental shamans, and I think it's a little bit of burst protection even against shadow priests, if I recall correctly. But really what it's there for is the reflect damage is going to eventually... Like, this mage basically... As long as this mage's mana bar holds, she can do burst into burst into burst, right? She can do burst into burst into burst as long as her mana bar is holding, which is what she did. So if we go back in time, she opened with a burst that cost me bubble, right? So my bubble's gone, but so is this water elemental. And then she immediately basically bursts on me again. And then even after that burst, she basically just bursts on me again. So it's just burst after burst after burst. With eye for an eye, that's not going to happen. There's going to have to be a lull for this person to eat and drink. The same thing is going to happen, or to bandage at a minimum. The same thing is going to happen to other spellcasters, which is really good for you as a paladin because it gives you time to get your freedom back, to heal back to full, you know, blah, 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 blah. There isn't really this burst into burst into burst thing that ends up happening. Oh, God. So we're going to barely survive this again. Barely out-healing the nonsense due to Argent Defender specifically. Yeah. So we barely survive all that. Anyways, I think 2 out of 2 eye for an eye is overkill. So the end with the new Argent Defender being always there for us. The spell warding points have moved into improved Hammer of Justice. This would be my open world build right here. 8 points in the Holy Tree. 5 out of 5 Argent Defender, 1 point into Holy Shield. You want 1 or 2 points in Holy Shield? I don't know yet. So I don't know if one of these Argent Defender or these eye for an eye points is going to move into additional Holy Shield protection. I'm not valuing that because I'm because I'm a dwarf. I think the dwarf gives me the dwarf Rachel gives me such a better matchup versus rogues that I don't need the extra points in Holy Shield. If I was a human, I probably need this additional point in Holy Shield and the 1 point in eye for an eye. I am not joking. We can actually look at a fight versus a rogue if you really want to see that. This rogue was cheating like a motherfucker on Henhouse against me, so he's probably got like all the buffs in the world. Let's find a duel that actually lasted a long time. Like if you actually watch these duels versus Prophets here, it's very clear that like every time I hodged on him, he's Cloak of Shadowsing it, so he's clearly got his cheats up. He's teeing in these fights. It takes me a long time to figure out that he's actually teeing. This is the MP5 Paladin, not like the super thick Paladin. This Paladin does have 6 charges on his Holy Shield. Let me go back for a hot... Ooh, this Paladin doesn't have 6 charges on Holy Shield. So I made a bunch of changes, and I actually made a versus Rogue Argent Defender guide after this series of losses versus Prophets here. But it's important to realize that homie is cheating out of his fucking ass. Let's go back. Let's see if we can actually see him using a T. Where did this fight start? Okay, right here. Human Paladin, not a dwarf. Let's watch his energy bar. He's going to be teeing on me. I think he just wants to get some combo points here, and then he wants to get away. He clearly didn't have his cheats on. That's why he got stuck in a stun. Yeah. So I eventually learned from dueling rogues that you need to press W at them and pressure them. I'm not sure I have... I made a bunch of changes. I'm playing this badly is what I'm trying to say. So don't look at this play and be like, oh, is this how I'm supposed to fight a rogue? Like, no. I actually made a number of changes here. Got to make a whole video on that. But let's see him cheat. Not supposed to tee in duels, you fucking monkey. Oh, he's got some kind of flask on him. Like, I don't have a flask. You can see up top. Okay. He's going to go for a re. I really need to freedom and I need to chase him down. I'm not doing that. That's bad. Okay, so let's watch his energy bar here. He's probably going to tee. Okay, energy bar. Yeah, right there. How did he gain so much energy? Any ideas? I don't know. Maybe he trinketed or something? Does he have trinkets that give him energy? Does he have stuff that gives him energy? Okay, super low energy. Let's see if he shoots back up energy. Anyways, so you can watch these duels. Homie's definitely cheating at his ass. This duel is kind of nice because he didn't have his cheats on. He, like, forgot to turn his cheats on, so I'm actually able to, like, hodge stun him. He's not, like, cloaking it every time. Okay, we need to pressure him. Are we bopping? Yeah, we should pop and pressure. Fuck, I hate that about this hen house. I forgot about this shit. So you'll cast bop or get out of a sheep, and it just, like, wiggles you around in a random direction. It's fucking annoying as shit. But he needs time to heal up. I need time to heal up. Let's just, okay, so we're going to go for a run. We're putting down rank 1 consecration. We're getting our eat and drink on here in a second. He'll be on us right about now. Okay, I think he used a sprint to get on us. Oh, no, it's just cloak. Okay. Right. We're still going for a run. We still need eat and drink. We're going for a run because we're trying to time out our bubble. And I don't think we're going to live long enough to get to another bubble. Let me see if he's going to actually T again. Or maybe T for the first time. Okay, yeah. So let me turn on sound here really fast. And show you something. Listen to the cloak as soon as I press stun.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So I literally press stun and he cloaks. So he's got his cheats back on.
Get some heals in.
So I go for the stun and he cloaks instantly. That's how you cheat in Henhouse.
Oh, fuck.
He's got his cheats back on. And then we will survive the bubble. Okay.
I need to conserve my mana. 2 seconds. And bubble.
So we got no mana. That's the problem. And we need to keep him in combat.
Grenade him.
Okay. Can we do a holy light? Because this is... Oh, I guess we're big flashes because we're trying to conserve. We need a judge on him, homie. We need to judge him. Don't let him get a re. What the fuck are you doing? Put it... God damn it, Pally time. Anyways. Moral of the story here is that even against a cheating rogue, probably buffed out of his fucking mind, using T and all kinds of nonsense, the human paladin is more than capable of dragging it down into the depths. So we're just going to speed up this duel here because it's going to be a while. Okay. Let's see how it ends. We didn't get a judge on him? Is that cloak? What happened? Okay, yeah, he cloaked. Okay. Hodge stun is almost off a cooldown. That was just our trinket came back up, right? What are we drinking? Oh, right, he was cheating, so, and using pots and shit, so I started using pots. Should have mana potted, dumbass. Anyways, I played this very badly, but...
Ooh, gonna be close. Nice.
Yeah. It was a Hodge stun.
Yeah, it's the teeing. It's kind of annoying.
Okay, cool. So we end that. Yeah, he's cheating and buffed out of his mind. So anyways, as a human, being not as well optimized in the gearing and blah, 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 what the fuck do you want from me, Battle.net? Fuck you. Being not as well as optimized, playing it very badly, learning a bunch of lessons from this, blah, 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 blah. If I fought this guy again, I would probably win as a human paladin. I had a few takeaways. Number one was that I needed the extra point in Holy Shield in order to fight against rogues as a human specifically. Also, I needed to stop him from getting all those rees on me. If you actually watch the duels, he's reeing on me all over the place. And there's no reason for that. I should be pressing W. If you watch my Paladin versus Rogue TBC guide video, I'm basically stressing that. Those were the duels that I actually learned these lessons in. But I'm convinced that if you're a dwarfs basically have another fucking bubble against rogues. And because you have another bubble against rogues, like your Blessing of Protection plus Blessing plus Stone Form, as far as a rogue is concerned, that's a bubble on a 3-minute cooldown. So suddenly I think I'll be fine with just 1 point in Holy Shield. I don't think I need 2 like the human does. And then suddenly I have a spare point that can go into Eye for an Eye. Or I could theoretically put it into even faster Hodge stuns. Like, either one is perfectly fine. You don't care about, like, having a 35-second Hodge stun CD. What you really want from your Hodge stun is just for it to be faster than Cloak of Shadows. The duel's never going to go long enough that you can basically get like double Hodge stun while they're going to be on, what's the term? You're never going to get double Hodge stun on the guy before their Cloak of Shadow comes off a cooldown. The fight won't go that long. It's hard to explain, but the 40-second cooldown Hodge stun is more than enough. Right, so that's what changes between being a human and being a not human Argent Defender Paladin is just this. Like, this is the only thing that changes. 1 point comes out of Eye for an Eye and goes into Holy Shield because you don't have Stone Form, which means you're going to need the extra 2 charges on your Holy Shield in order to beat rogues. And you only need 1 point in Eye for an Eye specifically against mages. You could try making it work against rogues with only 1 point in Holy Shield. You'll beat virtually every rogue that you fight, with the exception of like the top tier really good rogues. And even then, against the top tier really good rogues, you can just like run away and mount up and fly off and be like, you can see the loss coming a mile away, and you can basically just get the fuck out of there if you have to. Right, so that's kind of what changes. As far as your gearing is concerned, as you saw fighting that mage, I had no stamina gemming, basically. I probably had the 18 stamina meta gem, but everything else was MP5 and wasn't very heavy on the stamina enchants. You bet your fucking ass that changes when you're fighting mages. Like, even this being plus healing is probably going to be stamina. Let's go the armor kit. So that was a phase 3 Paladin. A phase 3 Paladin, Argent Defender Paladin, is supposed to have like 13,500 hit points, somewhere around there. The phase 1 Paladin has like 12,500 HP, somewhere around there. Right. What are we talking about here? Like, what is your optimized gearing for an Argent Defender Paladin? So, Argent Defender Paladins without any resist gear can easily survive as long as they have like really heavy plus healing gear. Now, they're plus healing geared with an emphasis on stamina. So you're going to want this neck, even though ideally we'd want a stamina heavy plus healing neck that doesn't really exist in phase 1. In phase 3, you do gain access to better neck pieces, I do believe. The game finally wises up and actually gives you like some plus healing MP5 neck pieces. It's got to be around here somewhere. Resilience rating, damage and healing, stamina, intellect. Where's the MP5? Is it just this one? Anyways. You end up wearing a 4-piece Lamellar. And you end up wearing 4-piece Lamellar because it's a little bit thicker on the stamina, but more importantly, you really want that reduced Hodge cooldown to be at least 40 seconds, and this is basically how you get it to be 40 seconds. So you're not wearing like pure ornament gear. You're actually wearing like a 4-piece Lamellar, and then some of your off pieces, just due to like itemization, will end up being spell damage as well. It's not that we're valuing the spell damage over the plus healing, it's just that we're valuing like other things that we're basically getting out of it. Then you're basically gemming almost pure stamina. The only reason I have a unique like 10 resilience gem for phase 1 that's currently in the bracers, because the bracers also give plus 2 resilience when, socketed properly, and it just ends up moving the needle more for me without the without spell warding than having like pure stamina there. It's one of the compromises I made on this build. But okay, the TLDR is that the Argent Defender Paladin build is a very plus healing heavy build, with the exception of wearing 4-piece Lamellar. Its optimal gearing is to go very heavy on anything that's it's like stamina first, spell plus healing second, is kind of its gearing optimization, and you can see that in its enchants, right? Even this defense helps reduce being critically hit by like 0.2%. What is this? Health on the armor, health enchant on bracers and gloves. super health on leg enchants, health on boot enchants, like, +8 all stats. This is because I'm a dwarf. +8 all stats is a bit better than being blacksmithing. So, for example, if you were a Blood Elf Paladin, you'd probably want to be a blacksmith. Like, unironically, you'd want to be a blacksmith rather than having the +8 all stats. But because I'm a dwarf, it changes it moves the scenario a little bit. You're more of a defensive-minded paladin than an offensively-minded paladin. The exceptions to this are that you need to get into some fire resist gear in order to beat fire mages. This paladin could not beat fire mages without fire resistance gear. There is no paladin that can actually beat fire mages without fire resistance gear. It's just a question of how much fire resistance gear do you actually need. The Argent Defender Paladin is very comfortable beating fire mages with about 200 fire resistance. The Holy Shock Paladins need about 300 fire resistance, and I have no fucking idea what the Retribution or the Ret Reckoning Paladins need for fire resistance. But if you get up to like 350-ish fire resistance, then the enemy's not going to be able to do fuck all. The Argent Defender Paladin cannot beat Warlocks without shadow resistance gear. Don't know how much shadow resistance the Argent Defender needs, but it's going to hold to be a reoccurring theme that whatever the other paladins need for resistance gear, the Argent Defender Paladin needs like 100 less resistance to make it work. So it might be the case that like 250 shadow resist is just fine for an Argent Defender Paladin, whereas the other paladins need like 350 shadow resistance, and then suddenly they'll start beating the shit out of Warlocks. But yeah, that's kind of the TLDR there. In duels, you just put on the resistance gear and give the enemy the middle finger. In open world PvP, you basically just run away from the enemy, do a gear swap on them, and then come back in with the proper resist gear, and you're going to win. Okay, let's get into the more difficult to explain paladins here really fast. Oh god, we're already over an hour. So that's Holy Shock and Argent Defender. Those are the two paladins that I'm very familiar with, their gearing needs and how to gear them under what circumstances. The Argent Defender Paladin, if it finds itself in an endurance fight, so it's fighting like a Resto Druid or some other class that's dragging them down into a mana war state, it does pretty good. It would very much prefer to be Spirit Gemmed or MP5 Gemmed. I think it specifically benefits better from MP5 gemming or Spirit Gemming than MP5, but either one is perfectly fine. So you might have to do a gear swap it has an endurance fighting mode, is the way I would explain it. Basically, you gear swap on the enemy into, you fight the enemy down into endurance fighting territory in this stamina gear gem suit. And then once you're down into the depths of endurance fighting, both you and your opponent can gear swap all over the place. It's very easy for each of you to gear swap. So you gear swap into the same suit of gear, except it's more plus healing gear oriented with plus healing gear enchants, MP5 enchants. And the gems are all like, Spirit or MP5, some shit like that. Your life consists of I judge wisdom on the enemy and beat them with a plus healing one-hander while sealing vengeance. The reason you do this is because you can't really dispel the Judgment of Wisdom very well with 5 out of 5 vengeance on the target, because vengeance requires like 5 fucking dispels in order to remove it. And you just keep reapplying it with the auto attacks. You have 1 point in Vindication, which is being applied almost very frequently with your auto attacks. This also requires a dispel to remove. Your spells have a 35% chance to resist being dispelled, 5% base plus the 30% from Stoicism. So if you're fighting like a priest, for example, and you have like 5 out of 5 vengeance and vindication on them, and you have Judgment of Wisdom on them, when they press dispel for like 300 fucking mana, they basically get 2 die rolls against 3 enemies, against 3 spells, to remove the thing they want removed, which is Blessing of Wisdom. or Judgment of Wisdom. All of those have a 35% chance to resist. It is insanely mana efficient for classes that can dispel magic to try to remove your Judgment of Wisdom when you have when you're applying Vindication and Seal of Vengeance almost every auto attack. Like, it's not I press Dispel and all 5 stacks of Vengeance go away. No, it's every single stack of Vengeance requires a Dispel. And then Vindication also requires a fucking Dispel. And then if they can even if the die rolls even go right, that they're even trying to remove Judgment of Wisdom, even then there's a 35% chance the Judgment of Wisdom doesn't give a shit. And oh, by the way, you can reapply it every 8 seconds. And oh, by the way, you sealed Wisdom and then hit them with a two-hander or some shit to blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so that's how you win Mana Wars. The first part of it is that you're sealing Wisdom. My bad. You're judging Wisdom on them, and you're sealing Vengeance, and you're beating on them for Dispel protection purposes. Then you're not judging on cooldown. You're basically just letting Spirit Regeneration happen as much as possible. You're judging damage with Seal of Vengeance every 30 seconds just to let Spirit Regeneration do its thing. The other element to it is that you're living below 35% life, so that all damage you take is reduced by 38% or whatever the hell it is. When you're below 30% life, once you factor in resilience, once you factor in anything else you've got going, like improved Righteous Fury damage reduction, blah, 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 right? Something mages can spell steal off you. Yeesh. Let me drink here. And you're using flashes of light to heal yourself. Your flashes of light have a 10-to-1 mana efficiency ratio when you're very heavily spell power geared, and to downrank your flashes of light. So you're basically using rank 6 flash of light, somewhere around there. Your holy lights have a 5-to-1 mana to healing efficiency ratio. Your flashes of light have a 10-to-1 healing efficiency ratio. When you're using them below 50% life, or below 35% life, they gain a plus 50% bonus on top of that. So very quickly, your flashes of light are at a 16 or a 15 mana to healing ratio efficiency on top of you beating on the enemy with Seal of Vengeance. And we already looked at the DPS output of the Holy Shock Paladin, just wailing on someone with Seal of Vengeance. So you can imagine that it's still a pretty good DPS coming out of the Argent Defender Paladin. And the MP5 is absolutely terrifying. The difference between the two Paladins in their DPS output is that the Argent Defender Paladin can't judge on cooldown in order to maintain a large quantity. It doesn't have Sanctified Judgment, so it can't judge on cooldown, so its DPS is less. But its MP5 regeneration tends to be a bit more because it is Worship at the Altar of Spirit Regeneration more than the Holy Shock Paladin. So the Holy Shock Paladin is leaning on the enemy with 375 DPS, but no Spirit Regeneration. Whereas the Argent Defender Paladin is leaning on the enemy with 300, it's actually closer to 275 DPS, if I recall correctly, but with noticeably more Spirit Regeneration. And then greater efficiency on, is Holy Shock, I don't know what the mana efficiency is for the Holy Shock healing with Illumination. The Holy Shock Paladin also has the free crit heals that I can do every now and then. So the Holy Shock Paladin is a better Mana War fighter, but the Argent Defender Paladin can do it well enough to get the job done, if that makes sense. So once again, you're in a scenario where you're going to out Mana War any class in the game, with the exception of the Resto Shaman, which basically nobody out Mana Wars a fucking Resto Shaman. They can't kill you, you can't kill them, you just kind of look at each other funny. But the Argent Defender, both the Holy Shock and the Argent Defender Paladin, in their own weird little way, can beat the shit out of Resto Druids, even through multiple, innervates, where they get 80% of their mana bar back. They can beat up priests who summon their stupid little Void Walker and get mana back on you. When they summon their Void Walker, you basically just bubble. Bubble or Blessing of Protection, because it can't... when it's hitting shields, the Void Walker cannot regenerate mana. That's a change that happens in Wrath. And when that change happens in Wrath, where the priest can like regenerate 80% of their fucking mana bar from their Void Walker hitting you on your bubble, you can't out mana war a priest in Wrath anymore. But in TBC you can. Okay, let's move on to the other more difficult to describe paladins. Okay, so Holy Shock and Argent Defender Paladin are some of the best open world paladins there are. Shock Eye specifically, and then Argent Defender specifically. Let's look at a Ret Reckoning Paladin. Oh my god. Okay, let me gear one up here for a hot second, and we'll just try to see what the hell we're dealing with here. I don't know if we take spell warding or not on one of these paladins, so we're just not going to put points in there. I know we come deep enough to put 2 points in Sacred Duty. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. I can't remember if we get Vengeance or not, so I'm going to go for Eye for an Eye instead. Yeah, we probably put points in here for damage purposes. Can't remember if we get Sanctity Aura or not. Probably yes. And I know we put at least 2 points in Sanctified Judgment. And then we have like 1 point left over, if I recall correctly. Oh, we got 2? We got 3? Oh boy. Okay, that's interesting. Oh no, it's points down here. That's right, my bad. So I put 1 more point in the crit. Do I put a point in Vengeance? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. We put 2 points here, and if I recall correctly, we got like... Okay, yeah. So we put 1 point in Repent, and here's the 1 point we have left over. Okay, cool. All right, so the reason why you have this 1 floating point in the Ret Reckoning build is Stoicism. There's a 5% chance to resist any spell cast in the game, period. Nobody can do anything about that. So with Stoicism, you have a 35% chance that your seals are not dispelled. Then you come over here and you have an additional 66% chance for your seals to not be dispelled. And by the time we go 66 plus 35, you can see that we're over 100% chance that our spells aren't getting dispelled, right? So in theory, you could only put like 1 point in here, and you could live off of 35 plus 33. You'd have a 68% chance that your seals aren't getting dispelled with just 1 point here. All right, so take that into consideration. But the moment you put 2 points in there, your seals aren't dispellable anymore. So if you're putting 3 points in here, you're basically wasting 1 talent point. This extra talent point goes somewhere. I have no fucking idea where the hell you want to put this goddamn thing. You could get an extra point of Vengeance. You could strip another point out of here and go 3 out of 5 Vengeance. This will definitely help your burst. We need to talk about this in a hot second. Other options are to devalue the Hodge Stun, only having 2 points in the Hodge Stun and going 3 out of 3 improved concentration aura. You might be wondering why the fuck. There's basically, how do I put this? This build has a completely different mindset if it's dueling or open world PvP than it does in the arena. This is more of an arena build than it is like a dueling or open world build. If you're dueling or you're in the open world, this build really wants to wear very heavy plus healing gear, and it wants to use an endurance fighting mindset, much like a Holy Shock Paladin, centered mostly around resist and having you can notice you don't have healing in combat, right? You have 50% spell pushback from improved concentration aura, which will give you decent spell pushback resistance against enemy spellcasters because they're not hitting you all the time in melee, right? But against melee classes, you can't just stop and heal yourself whenever the hell you want to. You'll suffer too much spell pushback. But you have Repent, you have Hodge Stun on a reasonably fast cooldown. So you can fight spellcasters decently. Like 50% spell pushback is okay against fighting enemy spellcasters, especially if you know how to time your heals properly. Especially if you know what your eye for an eye spell pushback is going to do for you, like that sort of stuff. You basically start casting a Holy Light or Flash of Light right as you get hit with like a spell cast. So right as you get hit with a spell cast, you start your heal. Like right before you get hit with the spell cast, you start your heal. That way, if you suffer the 1 second of spell pushback, it'll only push you back like 0.2 seconds at most, and you're going to get off that Holy Light, especially with eye for an eye. Probably before the enemy will be able to hit you with another 2 second spell cast, giving travel time, a little bit of spell haste on your gear will very much help you out with this. So there is a way that you can gear this Paladin with plus healing gear and only having 3 points in eye for an eye that you can find yourself being able to heal effectively against enemy spellcasters. Once you factor in the quicker Hodge Stun, once you factor in Repent, once you factor in grenades, once you factor in your increased movement speed over them, where you can get distance away from them so that the travel time on their spells is increased, blah, 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 blah. There is a big brain Paladin way of playing this piece of shit that you have enough spell pushback immunity that you can play against enemy spellcasters reasonably well. Against enemy melee, go fuck yourself. You're going to be living off of grenade stuns, Repent, Hodge stuns, and your increased mobility in order to heal yourself. So be a dwarf or get fucked, basically. But in the arena, you have a dedicated pocket healer, basically, right? And you might be asking yourself, why 3 out of 3 improved concentration aura if I'm in the arena? So your shaman partner, let's go shaman here really fast. Let's go Draenei. Let's just click it out to 70 and look. Let's go to a talent tree. Tools, gear planner, shaman, orc. We want gear planner. We want talent calculator, right? Shaman, okay. So the resto shaman eventually gets deep enough into their tree. I think it's this thing that I want down here. I don't care about anything else. But they get deep enough into their tree that they have 70% spell pushback immunity. And by the time they get down to Earth Shield says protects the target with Earth and Shield, giving them a 30% chance to ignore spell interruption when taking damage, blah, 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 right? On top of all the healing effects of Earth Shield. So a combination of their 70% healing pushback and Earth Shield is what is giving them 100% spell pushback. So in theory, they don't need your improved concentration aura. There's also stuff around here, if I recall correctly, that does actually give them the same thing as... Let's just put points into the tree randomly here until I can get deep enough to unlock whatever the hell that is. I think it's this thing right here. Yeah. Whenever a damaging attack is taken that reduces you below 30% health, you have a 50% chance to heal for... Blah, blah. They have the same thing as improved concentration aura around here somewhere. No. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Focus mind. Reduce the duration of any silence or interrupt effects used against a shaman by 30%. This effect does not stack with other similar effects. All right, so the first thing I'm going to point out is that if you take improved concentration aura on your deep Ret Paladin, I can't remember if we took Sanctity or not. Did we take Sanctity? We did. Okay. It does a few things for you and your shaman partner. Number one, it frees up 3 talent points here, just in case the shaman can make better use of that someplace else, right? What it also does is it allows the shaman to have Earth Shield on the Paladin in the arena, and while at the same time still having 100% spell pushback immunity. So if Earth Shield is on the Paladin is going to have 80% spell pushback with 3 out of 3 concentration aura, right? The shaman is still going to have 100% spell pushback immunity due to concentration aura. and these 3 talent points are basically going someplace else if that moves the needle in some way, shape, or form that I don't know about, right? The Ret Reckoning Paladin in the arena really benefits from having some plus healing gear on him. Specifically, he wants to hit like a 600 plus healing breakpoint very, very specifically. This is enough plus healing that he becomes a very viable off healer in the arena, even while wielding a two-handed weapon. Now, in theory, like you're going to tell me the following, right? In theory, if you need to heal your shaman in the arena, you're going to be swapping to a plus healing one-handed weapon, and you're going to be healing your partner, right? You're going to have to be a little big-brained about that, because the act of swapping a weapon in the arena basically puts you on like a 1-second GCD or some shit like that. So you basically have to anticipate the need to heal your arena partner like a second ahead of time in order to do the gear swapping thing. My Argent Defender Paladin, even while wearing a shit ton of plus healing gear and wearing 4-piece Lamellar and having plus healing gemming here, plus healing enchants here and there, he is barely hitting his 600 HP minimum plus healing breakpoint to be able to wield a two-handed weapon and be like, oh shit, I need to heal my arena partner. I don't think the Cactus Paladin, the Ret Reckoning Paladin, is going to be able to do that, to hit that breakpoint without the plus healing weapon. So you probably don't need a lot. You probably need like 3 or 4 pieces of your gear to be plus healing gear in order to hit the 600 plus healing gear with the plus healing weapon swap. But my point here that I'm trying to make, let me take a drink. And keep in mind, we only have 68% dispel protection on our seals. Is that you're really going to bet your win rate is really going to benefit in the arena from you being a viable off healer for your shaman partner. Your shaman partner is probably going to want to gem purely resilience, is going to probably want to gear very heavy on the resilience, even more so than the plus healing. And then you, as their arena partner, are going to want to have like 600 plus healing with a plus healing weapon swap in order to be a viable healer for him. Feel free to experiment around with Earth Shield on the Paladin, but you have 3 out of 3 improved concentration aura. I don't know what's going to be better for you in the arena. Or Earth Shield on the Shaman, and you only have like no healing pushback immunity whatsoever. Like, that sounds questionable to me. But just know that worst case scenario, the Shaman can have 100% healing pushback and can have the 3 talent points freed up. And we'll still have this, the silence reduction effects and blah, 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 blah. While at the same time, the Paladin can have 80% spell pushback immunity in the arena and have CC reducing effects. It's just the better defensive option. So, for example, if you're a Dwarf Paladin, I would be very suspicious of a Dwarf Paladin, a Cactus Paladin in the arena that was not this build specifically. Okay? For a Blood Elf Paladin, things might change a wee bit, and I'll explain here in a hot second. So we are going to, I want to try to strip as many points out of here as is humanly possible. Did I have like 1 spare talent point somehow? That's kind of weird. All right, strip. Fuck you, put a point in there, strip that out. Give me this. Okay, cool, we're good. Notice I'm suddenly valuing seal or vengeance more than I'm valuing dispel protection on your seals. We have 68% dispel protection on the seals right now. That's actually, to me, that's probably more than fine. But we need to have a conversation about Seal of Vengeance. Judgments, 100% chance. Yeah, no, we're going to devalue that, and we're going to go 5 out of 5 Vengeance. Did I have a spare talent point to put into... Okay, yeah, this might be the way to go right here. Okay, let's do this. 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 Okay. I like this better. My bad. Yeah, yeah, okay. All right. What are we trying to say here? So this is your dwarf build. Let me give you that point, you piece of shit. You'd probably want this to be your dwarf build. But if we're not playing a dwarf, this is basically what's going to happen to your talent points. Is you're going to do something like this. Yeah, the 100% dispel protection, blah, 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 blah. We need to have a conversation about Cactus Paladin and 5 out of 5 Vengeance. God damn it, man. So, the real power of Ret Paladin is not Crusader Strike. It is actually 3 out of 3 improved, 200 weapon specialization, 5 out of 5 vengeance, and then 1 point in Sanctity Aura. Okay? These 3 talents right here are the real power of the Ret tree for actually killing things. The reason for this is they basically double dip. They basically cause Seal of Command and Seal of Blood to go Super Saiyan. Okay? So, for example, Seal of Blood without these talents does 35% of your weapon damage as holy damage. But I'm going to show you what the hell these seals do, and Seal of Command basically does 70, okay? So keep in mind that this math is going to play out the exact same for Seal of Command. Like, the effects of these talent points are going to play out exactly the same for Seal of Command. It's just going to be double, all right? Like, whatever number we come out of this, just double it for a Seal of Command proc. So what happens is the 200 weapon specialization increases your white damage times, fuck off, 35 times 1.06. So it increases your white damage by 6%, which increases your Seal of Blood's damage by 6%. But it also increases your holy damage by 6%. So it ends up doing something like this. It ends up double dipping and doing it twice. So it doesn't end up, it ends up increasing your seal damage closer to like 13% times 1.13. Closer to 13% than it does 6%, which is like, okay, it double dips is what I'm trying to say. Seal of Vengeance basically comes along and does the exact same thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to multiply this shit by an additional like 15% due to the white damage being increased by 15%. And oh, by the way, I'm also going to increase this shit by an additional, like, it double dips again. So the next thing we know that these 2 talent points have our Seal of Blood damage output up from 35% to like, 50%. And then the Sanctity Aura is going to increase this by an additional like 10% on top of all this. And very quickly, your Seal of Blood damage goes from 35% increased by like 40% or some shit like that. It becomes closer to like a 55% damage. And it can crit, right? 35 times, is that a 50% DPS increase? Nope, higher, 35 times 60% DPS increase. Okay, cool. So these 3 talents right here are increasing the damage output of your seals, of your Seal of Blood and your Seal of Command by upwards of 60%, depending upon how the damage is calculated. Like, does it compound with each other? Okay, we're talking 65% increase in DPS. Does it not compound with each other? Okay, we're talking only a 60% increase in DPS. So the real power of your seal twisting damage and the real power of your DPS output from the Retribution tree is specifically in, 1, you gain access to Seal of Command, so a really cheap rank 1 spell to Seal Twist. Secondly, you gain an additional 5% crit, which with the way Resilience works in TBC is a big-ass fucking deal. Then you gain Seal of Vengeance, which makes your critical strike even more important, right? But then you're double dipping on, like, this is increasing your seal damage by 13%. This is increasing your seal damage by like 33% or something stupid like that. 100 times 1.15 equals times 1.15 equals, yeah, it's like a 32% increase in seal damage output. You start factoring in Sanctity Aura and shit into that, and it's closer to like 33% increase in seal damage output. Yeah, so these three talents together are just giving you like a 60% increase in damage to your primary damage output, period, which is your Seal of Blood and Seal of Command twisted together. Like, what the fuck? That's why there's a heavy valuing on Seal of Vengeance, because every point in Seal of Vengeance is just moving the needle more in that direction, okay? I'm just pointing that out there. So the true power of the Ret tree is gotten just in these talent points right here. The fact that you're getting, you can like hawk Tua somewhere in the direction of this talent tree and get Repentance into the equation is worth its weight in gold. And then a couple hawk Tuas more, and you get like 100% Dispel protection. And what the fuck are we even talking about here, right? The other real powerhouse in these talents is having a Hodge stun on 35-second cooldown is not really a waste, because Seal of the Casino. So when your Reckoning is procced and active, it is not worth your... Like, I don't think Hodge even... I can't tell if Hodge stun is on a GCD cooldown in TBC or not. If it is on a cooldown in TBC, it's like 0.5 seconds or some shit like that. Like, I'm not even sure it's on like a GCD. I think you can just Hodge stun and Seal twist like instantly, like all in one GCD. God damn it. Like, I actually have this data. Like, I actually have the data with Tello. Like, I sent like a thing with Tello. Yeah, here. Let's look at this really fast. So I got on the Henhouse server, the Warmane Henhouse server, and I geared up a bunch of enemy classes and proper PvP gear, and I looked at like their damage mitigation numbers. And you can see that up here in the top right corner, we have the damage mitigation of a Ret Paladin, a Holy Paladin, a Warrior, a Mage, and then in the bottom right here, because that's where the room is, we have the mitigation of all the other classes in the game. You'll notice that Warrior has decent mitigation for the purposes of Seal of Casino. Seal of Command and your Seal twisting, when you look at the math behind it, and you look at Wind Fury and the extra attacks and blah, 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 Seal of Command and Wind Fury Totem despise our enemies having a high mitigation chance. Like, 10% chance to dodge plus 5% chance to parry is a cock in the ass for your Seal twisting damage output. To the point where throwing out a Hodge stun for no other reason than you get to Seal twist off of the damn thing, and it completely removes block, dodge, and parry from the equation of your enemy, is worth its weight in fucking gold. It's worth something stupid, like a 30% damage increase, just to Hodge someone for like half a second just so you can Seal twist on them off of your Hodge stun. Okay? I haven't done the math on it in TBC, but in Classic, it's worth like a 30% damage increase. If I start doing the math on it with like Wind Fury Totem, it's probably worth closer to like a 40% DPS increase, 45%. It's worth its weight in gold for you to stun a motherfucker and then just Seal twist on them. But you'll notice that some of the classes here, we don't really need that. Mage, 5% chance to dodge. We don't really need to seal any kind of protection against them. The Holy Paladins have a pretty low mitigation chance. We don't really need that for them. The Ret Paladins have a pretty high mitigation chance, closer to 15%, same as the Warriors. We may or may not want to try to throw out a Hodge stun on them. The Warrior will probably resist the Hodge stun, so maybe throw it on his healer instead. Locks, incredibly low mitigation. Don't bother with it. Shamans, low mitigation, don't bother with it. Enhancement Shamans, pretty low mitigation, don't fucking bother with it. The only classes you really need to bother with it are Hunter and Rogue. You can see that the Rogue, they have close to a 40% damage mitigation, just being butt naked and wearing all that agility gear. The Hunters are in the same boat. They're very heavily agility geared, and so they have an incredibly high, 20% a chance to dodge your incoming attacks, dodge/parry your attacks, just by being alive. And if they're able to find their form of the monkey, it's going to go up like another 8%. Like, god damn it, man, okay? So these two classes are very worth it for you to stun their fucking asses before you try to go for a Reckoning Seal Twist on them. Everybody else, though, you really don't, which I thought was interesting. Anyways, because of this, the Paladin build very much benefits from having these faster Hodge stuns, because it lets you, like, stun the target, remove Seal the Casino from the equation, and just give them a big old Seal Twist on top of the enemy. If an enemy rogue, and rogues are very ubiquitous in the arena, if a rogue is chewing on your shaman ally, right? If a rogue is on top of your shaman, and let's say you're on top of the enemy priest, it's actually better for you as the shaman or as the paladin to go and start threatening to swing into the ass of that rogue, to Seal Twist into the ass of that rogue. Number one, you don't want to be anywhere near that fucking priest, because he can just fear you and start getting out, like, bubble and PvP trinket and all that kind of crap. You would rather just eat the fucking mana burns that the priest will probably try to cast on you if you're leaving them alone. Heck, the priest can mana burn you just by, like, even if you're physically on top of him, so who gives a shit, right? You really want to get behind that rogue and threaten to Seal Twist into their ass, because, again, they have no damage mitigation. They can't dodge or parry for swinging into their butt. So they really, the rogue needs to stop attacking your shaman and suddenly start turn around and bring all that 40% damage mitigation to bear against you. Or you just don't want to be any fucking where near the priest or the rogue, and you just heal your shaman and cleanse him and that kind of stuff, right? One of the two. It depends on what the cooldowns and the damage output, like what state, like how long the fight has been going. Is it in the opening phases of the fight? Well, you probably want to stay the fuck away from the rogue and the priest and just heal your shaman. Are we a minute into the fight where cooldowns have been expended and used, and we're not really that fearful of the priest/rogue burst? Yeah, you're probably going to want to be threatening the rogue to swing into his ass. You do have Reckoning, so the rogue suddenly needing to stop attacking the shaman and turn and face you is a really sus for the rogue, because the rogue can start attacking you with that 40% mitigation, but you're going to get Reckoning charges, so it's like, what do we want to do? You get the idea, right? Just understand Seal a Casino is what I'm trying to tell you, especially since we're putting a very heavy investment into really powerful Seal Twists, right? Like, we're not investing in other things. Our gear, not being heavy plus healing gear, is a really heavy investment into our Seal Twisting. We're specifically putting our talent points where they need to go to heavily invest in Seal Twisting. We've got 100% Dispel protection for Seal Twisting. If we're not using it to the fullest, if we don't know what the fuck we're doing as Cactus Paladin, like, what the fuck are we doing with our lives, get the fuck away from the priest and start threatening that rogue to swing into his back, and you'll have much better matchups against priest rogue, or rogue anything, really, than you otherwise would have. Or just, stay the fuck away from both of them and start threatening to heal your shaman, and it'll piss them off all the same. Alright, what else is there to say? Right, Blood Elf. Use this build as Blood Elf. Your racials are more offensively oriented than they are defensively oriented. So you're going to want to invest in a more offensive mindset and playstyle. If you are a dwarf, yeah, we want to strip a point out of here. We want to strip another point out of here. We want to find one more fucking point from somewhere. It pains me to do this, but we're either taking that out of Sanctity Aura and putting it into Consecration, or we're taking that point out of Vengeance and we're putting it over here. The reason for this, whichever, like, do the math and try to figure out which one of those two benefits you better. We're going to want to be a more defensively minded Cactus Paladin, and the 3 out of 3 in Concentration Aura is just better for this. It gives you the ability to just stop and heal your ally much, much better. Like, a mage can't just, like, counterspell you for like 10 fucking seconds. Instead, they're going to be hitting you with a counterspell for like 7 seconds instead. It's a big fucking deal. It lets Earth Shield be on you and have an 80% spell pushback immunity, and the shaman can still have 100% spell pushback immunity. It frees up those 3 talent points in the shaman tree for whatever the fuck they can do with them, blah, 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 blah. The dwarf is a more endurance fighting... Dwarves have more of an endurance fighting mindset as a paladin class, and so you should adjust your talent points accordingly. So yes, we lose 1 point out of vengeance, or we use the sanctity aura. Very, very, very fucking painful, but probably totally worth it. I don't think it's worth it to pull a point out of Hammer of Justice. I don't think it's worth it to pull a point out of Reckoning, but I could be wrong. Feel free to play with it. I'd rather have a 68% Dispel protection on my seals than... I think Vengeance can be cleansed, if I recall correctly, but it's just like Seal of Vengeance. Each one requires a cleanse charge. And this also helps protect your Earth Shield from being cleansed and all that kind of shit. Oh, God, maybe that's a fucking thing. Okay, you guys need to go playtest something for me, okay? So, I need you Ret Paladins to go playtest Dispel mechanics on 100% spell immunity resist for the seals versus 68% spell immunity resist for the seals. Because it might be the case that when a priest goes, or when a purge goes out on you as the paladin, like let's say you have Earth Shield on yourself. You have Earth Shield, you have 5 out of 5 or 3 out of 3 Vengeance, and you've got your Seal. So you have 3 spells that can be dispelled. If you have 100% spell resistance on your Seal, will the game mechanics ignore trying to dispel the seal and always do die rolls on your Vengeance and your Earth Shield? And your blessing that you might have up on you? Like, will it just push that as a dispel option off the table, which could be really bad, right? Or if we've only got 68% spell resistance, will it still be on the table? That way, it gives better dispel protection for your blessing of whatever the hell, and your Earth Shield if that's what's on you, right? So we'll have to test that, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, so this is Dwarf Paladin. I don't think this is viable in duels. You'd have to get really creative with your gearing for dueling and open world PvP with this build. You do have Repent. Like you'd have to be my level of big brain paladin to make this work in a 1v1 fight, either in open world or in dueling. You'd have to go very heavy on the plus healing gear. You'd have to like know your way around this or that. I don't know how you beat rogues because you don't have Holy Shield. Holy Shield's kind of a big deal for beating rogues. You either need Holy Shield or Holy Shock to be able to beat rogues. I don't know if Repent is going to cut it against a rogue. Like I just don't know. You do have mobility on the rogue. You do have Repent. God, man, I don't fucking know. This might be an arena / BG pocket healer only type thing you got going on here. Yeah. It's like, if you can fight 1v1 with this thing, you got to be big brain about it, and even then it's going to be inferior to an Argent Defender Paladin or a Holy Shock Paladin, and it's not like we don't have dual spec, so it's like, what the fuck are we doing? The Deep Ret Paladin. This is, don't put any points in this. This is a complete waste of your talent points as a Deep Ret Paladin. Literally put them anywhere else. Put them in parry for parry haste for all I give a shit. The Deep Ret Paladin is a weird beast. Deep Ret Paladin is a weird beast. Okay, is that all we got? Yeah, I guess that's all we got. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Can I strip anything out of here? Doesn't look like it. Is that as far as we can go? That's as far as we can go. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So one thing that has come to my attention on the PTR right now is that Crusader Strike. Crusader Strike is not supposed to proc any fucking seals. Okay? It will not proc Seal of Command. It will not proc Seal of Blood. It will not proc Seal of Vengeance. It will not proc Seal of Righteousness. But for some reason on the PTR right now, it is coded to proc Seal of Justice. So a lot of Paladins have learned that using a 3.8 speed weapon, which is what you're going to have with Herald of Woe, being a blacksmith, blah, 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 is that they're seal twisting Justice. Because not only, basically, Seal of Justice is coded. God damn it. My voice is starting to go. This video is closing in on the 2-hour mark, and I still have shit I need to talk about because fucking Paladin. Yeah. Okay. Seal of Justice has a % chance to stun the target per attack, per hit, okay? Per hit of your weapon, equal to the attack speed of the weapon times 10%. So a 3.8 speed weapon has a 38% chance to stun the target for 2 seconds with Seal of Justice. Okay? You'll seal twist Justice with max rank Seal of Command because when it does proc the stun, you get to double damage judge Seal of Command into the target. And if that crits, it actually does a shit ton of damage. I do believe this possibly makes it worth it to put points into Fanaticism. So we might have to strip points out of here and start valuing Fanaticism even more. Fuck if I know. We have Stoicism. Maybe we got 2 extra points from here. We don't take Stoicism. I don't know why. If we didn't take Stoicism, we'd probably start devaluing this a wee bit. Our GCDs are precious, so I guess I'll put 2 points in there. I'd have to take 2 points out of here and put them over here. Ooh, okay, there we go. Is that how that's supposed to look? Maybe, maybe not. I'm trying to pull out some extra points if we got them anywheres. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Right, so Paladins have been finding quite a bit of success seal twisting Justice with a max rank command. Because when you seal twist the Justice, your auto attack has a 38% chance to stun them for 2 seconds, and then you can judge for like a shit ton of damage with the max rank Seal of Command. If your auto attack doesn't stun them for 2 seconds, you have like a 40% chance to proc command, and then that command, assuming it makes it through the Seal of the Casino, like it actually hits its target, has another 38% chance to stun the target. Those two things can, both of those can actually stun the target at the same time, which will result in putting the stun on a DR. So if either one of those stuns the target, you'll get a 2-second stun. If both of them stun the target, you'll get a 1-second stun, is effectively what happens. Seal of Justice is also on its own DR. So you can Seal of Justice stun the target for 2 seconds, and then when they come out of those 2 seconds, you can just Hodge stun them for 6 seconds, and then just keep giving them the business. And then when they come out of that Hodge stun, you can Seal Twist Justice again, and if you get, if it procs, you'll stun them for 1 second. It's on its own fucking DR, okay? Its own diminishing returns. Anyways, Seal of Command has been proccing Seal of Justice. So people have been like, you know, seal twisting Justice, like, yeah, because, like, there's all kinds of ways you can use this unless Blizzard decides to fix it. I hope Blizzard doesn't fix this because it actually makes Seal of Command mathematically viable in the arena. This one little change, Seal of Command is proccing Seal of Justice, is actually going a long way for making a good argument for Crusader Strike in the arena. Because you can do stuff like Crusader Strike with Seal of Justice on. If it stuns the target for 2 seconds, you can then 1.5 seconds later, while there's still 0.5 seconds of Justice stun on the target, you have enough of a window there to seal twist like Blood and Command, with Seal the Casino being completely off the menu for like those rogues and hunters. As you saw with the mitigation from the other classes, it's not really worth it to do that. It's not worth the GCD investment to do that. But against like rogues and hunters, which are really scary in the arena, Yeah, you can just bitch slap them with Seal of Justice, Crusader Strike, hope it stuns them for 2 seconds, and then Seal Twist, Command into Blood with Seal of Casino can be completely removed from the equation, and you can give them a good shellacking. You can also judge the max rank command into the target for double damage. You know, that's a good wombo combo there. Or you could just do the other wombo combo, which is you Seal Twist Justice into max rank command, hope you get the stun, judge the max rank command into the target. No idea if the how the coding works with the stun and the seal of command. So like if your white attack stuns the target, I think it's all batched at the same time, so that you're still suffering from Seal of the Casino, even if Seal the command procs in that batch. It would depend on the batch order, like how the Lua code is processing the batch order, but it wouldn't surprise me if it works either way. So that's kind of cool with Crusader Strike. Trying to use a deep Ret Paladin in a 1v1 fight in like the open world is like trying to fight with your nuts cut off and one hand shoved up your ass in exchange. Like not tied behind your back, just literally shoved up your ass. It's hard to explain how bad it is in a 1v1 fight. Like you do really good damage and have a really terrifying burst capability. But without Wind Fury Totem, you don't have that one-shot capability. And you're just super, super fucking squishy. Like, you don't even have Reckoning, right? So, the Cactus Paladin, having come deep enough into the Ret tree that it's actually getting those talents that really buff the shit out of its seals. And then it also has Repent and Dispel Protection, right? In conjunction with Reckoning, and in conjunction with Sacred Duty, there's an argument to be made that if you're gearing properly and you're a big brain paladin, you can make a 1v1 work, right? You can make because you do have one-shot potential, or I should say, like, you know, stun and then Kamehameha potential off of Reckoning charges alone. Like, Reckoning charges plus Seal Twisting is a potential kill possibility. It's basically like having a Wind Fury Totem guaranteed for like 2 to 3 auto attacks. Like, goddamn, right? Crusader Strike doesn't move the needle enough to give you a one-shot potential. Everyone's going to survive your nonsense, even like really good RNG nonsense with like 30% life left. And then they're going to start giving you the business. If this thing had access to Sacred Duty, I'd be having a different conversation. If you give Crusader Strike and Sacred Duty the way it's coded with the Seal of Justice crap right now, absolutely amazing. We'd be having a different conversation here, because I could very easily see this Paladin popping Sacred Duty. Like, you go for a good RNGesus on the crits, you pop Sacred Duty, and the next thing you know, you're going for even more twisting and Crusader Striking and judging, and it's like, oh my god, that could be beautiful. But you don't have that. So, like, you're just going to get... The moment someone forces you to bubble, the DPS of this thing goes to shit. About the only play you can make when you're in bubble is the Seal of Justice, stun into Judgment, hoping that it crits, and blah, 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 blah. That's the only really thing you got going into Hammer of Wrath, right? I would not Wings with this thing. Wings is a bit of a trap. The plus 20% damage is not enough damage to change the outcome of a fight under the vast majority of circumstances. You're far better off bubbling and continuing to Seal Twist and Crusader Strike, especially with the way Seal of Justice is working right now. This thing just has a rough time in a 1v1. The best thing for you to do as a 1v1ing Retribution Paladin, and I shit you not, is to use your Repent, your Judgment of Justice, and your 15% increased movement speed to run the fuck away, mount up, fly off, dual spec into Argent Defender or Holy Shock, put on the proper gear you need to 1v1 somebody, go back out there and beat the shit out of them with a different spec. That is your best chance to win a 1v1 in the open world with this thing. If you're trying to duel with this thing, good fucking luck to you, sir. My hat's off to you. If I was trying to big brain my way into victory with your talent optimization with this fucking thing, I would say plus healing gear, plus healing gear, plus healing gear. But even then, without resistance gear against this and without resistance gear against that, you're going to lose. But if you do a mix of plus healing gear and resistances, you can actually do pretty good. And I'm not. I wish I was joking about this. Seal of Command actually has a 30% spell power ratio behind it base, and that spell power ratio is actually being amplified by Vengeance and by the two-handed weapon specialization and by Sanctity by the same, not to the same degree because it's not double dipping, right? But it is. Actually, I take that back. Maybe it is. Oh, it is double dipping. Is it? Fuck. No. Yes. No. Okay. It double dips off of the fact that command can crit, but it doesn't double dip the same way, okay, that the other one's doing. But anyways, just know that spell power is not a wasted stat for Seal of Command procs. Seal of Blood, to my knowledge, doesn't get spell power, but Seal of Vengeance does. And Seal of Vengeance being twisted with Seal of Command becomes a very, very legit thing. Like, don't Seal Twist Blood anymore with this build. So, the same thing goes with a Reckoning Paladin using the Reckoning Paladin using fucking plus healing gear. If you're wearing spell power heavy plus healing gear with these suits, you want to Seal Twist Command into Vengeance until you get a 5 stack of Vengeance on the target, and then you're Seal Twisting Blood into Command to try to kill motherfuckers. If you're doing that with the plus healing gear, the spell power / plus healing gear, so we're talking like you're wearing 4-piece Lamellar with a bunch of plus healing off gear, do not be surprised if the talent points. Don't be surprised if that actually becomes noticeably as deadly as if you were wearing the non spell power gear. The issue with this is that your critical strike is incredibly low, right? You have enough critical strike with the plus 5% crit here that's worth it for you to value critical strike on your Paladin. But the act of wearing the plus healing gear kind of like screws over the melee crit on your Paladin here. And when your melee crit is being screwed over, Seal Twisting Blood's value tends to go down. But the buffs from all this crap also make it incredibly high. Moral of the story is, if you're trying to kill something, make sure you have 5 out of 5 Vengeance stacks on them first. Because the plus healing gear really does, the spell power gear really does benefit from that. Seal Command still hits really hard with the plus healing gear because it is synergizing with the spell power. And then it's kind of worth it to cross your fingers on the critical strike chance that you do have, and then start Seal Twisting with Blood, because Blood is still going to gain the 60% fuck you bonus from all the synergy that's going on down here, right? Yeah, and then you do have Crusader Strike you can feed into the equation. The Judgments have a very high critical strike chance. They can do a lot of damage. Do not be surprised if you can find some way to make this kind of work in plus healing gear in a 1v1. If you're not wearing plus healing gear, spell power gear in a 1v1, and you try to 1v1 somebody with this, it's going to be cancerous ass. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, I wish I was wrong, but it's just not going to work. If you had Sacred Duty, it would work. If you had Reckoning, it would work. That's even if you didn't have Crusader Strike, Sacred Duty and Reckoning would make it work potentially. But yeah, even the Cactus Paladin, right? Which the difference between the two is literally just points go over here. Like there's a couple points you need to strip out. Yeah, these 3 points here come out of here. And then it's like 3 points over here. 1 point comes out of here. 1 point comes out of here. And then there's like 1 point out of Vengeance, right? The Dwarf versus the Blood Elf Paladin. This Paladin in a 1v1 can actually make it work in spell power gear. If you're doing the Seal of Vengeance, stack up to 5v5, and then swap over to Seal of Blood when you're trying to kill a motherfucker. Because it has Reckoning, because it has Sacred Duty, and because it still has enough points in making... It still has Repent to work with, and it has enough points in the amplifying the damage of your seals to make it work. It also still has 3 out of 3 improved concentration aura, which again is not enough spell pushback for you to be able to heal in the face of enemy melee users, but it is enough spell pushback for you to be able to heal in the face of enemy spellcasters, which is where you super need it. This build will, other than rogues, will probably beat the shit out of a lot of melee classes that it shouldn't otherwise be able to beat in plus healing gear. You might even be able to surprise a rogue with the sheer amount of burst damage that you can do with Reckoning. Like, don't be like if you hodge stun the rogue and you have Reckoning active and you just start giving him the business and he doesn't have any more evasions to work with, and the next thing you know, you're Sacred Dutying and you're just beating the shit out of him with Sacred Duty. Don't be surprised if you kill some rogues while in the spell power gear. They really need Cloak of Shadows to deal with the 5 out of 5 Vengeance, because Vanish isn't going to do it. They're just basically, if you have like a Judgment of Justice on them and they try to vanish with your 5 out of 5 Vengeance stacks on them, you're going to pick them up again and run them down and keep Seal Twisting on them with Sacred Duty. Do not be surprised if you end up if you wear spell power gear on this build, that you're able to beat like 70% of rogues, like on average, just because they don't know what the fuck is about to happen to them. But again, it is stack 5 out of 5 Vengeance on the target, and then start twisting blood into them with Reckoning charges, possibly backed up with Sacred Duty, and just go all in on Sacred Duty. Don't be surprised if you start killing motherfuckers left, right, and center. Very good for you to use Vengeance, Repentance offensively rather than defensively. So we're talking like hodge stun a motherfucker and then twist on their bitch ass. And then when they come out of the hodge stun, you just immediately pop Sacred Duty in like a rogue's face. Like if you know he doesn't have Cloak of Shadows. Because what's he going to do? Vengeance and then come out of Vengeance with the Sacred, from the 5 out of 5 Vengeance tick. He'll probably be like, 15 yards away from you or some shit. He might have improved sprint, so maybe he got out of your Justice with the improved sprint. So he's vanishing and relying on improved sprint to get away. Just repent his ass. You'll catch back up to him before your Seal of Justice, because it's on a 3-second tick, will tick again, and just put Justice back on his ass. He's not going to go anywhere. You're protected from CC due to Sacred Duty, and just keep twisting on his bitch ass. Do not be surprised if you put some rogues into the dirt just because they don't know what the fuck's about to happen to them. They didn't value their Cloak of Shadows enough. You've been vengeancing on them this entire time, so they're like, I'm going to use Cloak of Shadows. There's a world where you can do that. Basically, you just have to keep pressuring the rogue. If you watch the rogue go for a re, basically you're going to be wearing a shield while you're stacking up vengeance on them. And the moment you see the rogue like trying to go for a re, like he's trying to I'm going to gouge stun you and I'm going to run away, keep the pressure on him. Like literally run after him. Like, don't bother to stop and heal yourself, even though you can. Just chase his bitch ass down with Judgment of Justice. You'll force him to Cloak of Shadows in order to get the re. Okay? Because you're faster than him, and your judgment range has 13 yards due to the leeway mechanics, and you still have fucking vengeance stacks on him. That's where you can get his cloak. And once you get his cloak, you're kind of Gucci. Wouldn't surprise me that the Dwarf Paladin can actually, if he's wearing the spell power gear, the plus healing gear, can actually beat rogues pretty decently. Because that Paladin at least has 2 bubbles, right? They can get the cloak, and then they can use Stone Form and Blessing of Protection basically to heal themselves. And they can probably Cloak is on a 1-minute cooldown, and your burst is on a... Man, that's fucking tight. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyways, feel free to experiment with it. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't be surprised if the rogues don't know they need to hold their cloak in order to beat you. Stack up 5 stacks of Vengeance, switch to a 2-hander, start Seal Twisting on these motherfuckers with Seal of Blood. Use your Hod Stun to Seal Twist on them. Use your Repentance to Seal Twist on them. Literally just like Hodge Stun, twist. They come out of the Hodge Stun, or even before they come out of the Hodge Stun, you just repent on them. Like, let Vengeance tick, repent their ass. There's 3 seconds before they're going to come. Vengeance is going to get them out of the Repentance, and just twist on their ass a 3rd time for good measure. You can also don't give them your back. So when your CC is about to end and the rogue really needs to gouge stun you for 4 seconds and run away like a little bitch, just don't give them your back and just kill them with consecrations and judgments. I'm not kidding. Just be like, turn your back to them and just like basically just start mooning them with your ass, and they can't stun you and run away. It's really, really fucking funny. They'll run around inside your consecration for like a million years trying to get a gouge stun on you, and meanwhile you're just judging, smashing them with 5 out of 5 vengeance judgments all over the place. Absolutely terrifying. Then you can consecrate and then pop Sacred Duty. Yeah. If you're a human, you got perception to try to hunt them down. I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe you can get them with perception, if I think about it. Why can you get them with perception? Well, they're cloaking so they can remove the vengeance so that they can vanish is basically what they're doing. So they can run like a bitch, right? But if you're just like, I pop perception and then I let them do the cloak thing and then try to run away, and then I just end up bopping the gouge stun or bubbling the gouge stun, for example, you could probably still see them with repentance, and you could very easily put another justice stun on them, or you could just repent them and you catch them back. There's some combination here that I'm not really thinking about that is going to let you put rogues in the dirt while you're wearing the plus healing gear. Especially if you're a dwarf or a human. Anyways, I'll end the video there, and Deus Vult. That's basically all I have to say about that. The video's long as hell. My voice is starting to go. Deus Vult.